Hello everybody, welcome back to another demo video of NoSQLMap. Last week on Twitter I got a lot of great feedback about NoSQLMap. I really appreciate it. And as I was reading it, I realized my YouTube videos are a couple of versions behind. There's been a lot of great new additions as we move to the 0.1 builds, and there's going to be even more down the road in 0.2. It's almost ready, not quite ready yet, but keep your eyes peeled, it'll be out soon. But this morning I want to focus on a few things we've added in version 0.15, some enhancements and some new features to hopefully make your MongoDB hacking a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and start up NoSQLMap. Alright, so the first thing I want to point out is I've actually got in the options now the ability to load and save your options. So if you have an attack you need to repeat, then it's easy to go ahead and actually save all your settings. A real simple addition, which was really born out of the fact that I got tired of retyping the options every time I had to do a new test or was trying to QA something in NoSQLMap, but hopefully you'll find it useful. So let me go ahead and set up my options. So we'll start out with this host this morning, which is an IP of 192.168.87.157. Okay. And I'll go ahead and set my IP, which should be 192.168.87.130. Port 4444. And just to show off the ability to save your options, let's save an options file. Enter the file name to save. We'll call this YouTube. And really, there's nothing too fancy happening here, but I'll go ahead and show you. You see, it's simply a comma-separated file with the options that gets parsed. So, like I said, a simple feature, but hopefully one you guys will find useful. Go back to the main menu. So the first thing we'll do, we'll look at some new attacks on the network interface. So let's start DB access attacks. And you'll notice first difference we have is we're now asking if you want to specify credentials for the database server. One of the features we've added, and if you guys may know that MongoDB communicates everything in clear text across the wire. So you can intercept a password hash. Now the passwords are hashed going across the wire, but the hash is actually easily breakable through dictionary brute force. So if you've recovered passwords through sniffing wire, social engineering, whatever it may be, then now you can specify those to interact with the database server. My database server actually does not require credentials. And you see, we have the same sorts of things we had before, some information on the server. This is going to be cleaned up actually in 0.2, a list of the local databases. And one new addition is that we've actually added a list of collections from each database. So if you're interested in stealing a database, as we're being asked to do, then this will hopefully help you decide which database you want to steal. So, I'll go ahead and skip that because, we know that works from before. No changes to getting a shell, just still use the Metasploit exploit. And we'll go ahead and press enter to continue. And I hear the shower running behind me. I hope that doesn't pick up on the video. So, let's see. I have some new things in web app attacks I'll show you. So we're going to actually change our host now. Let me just double check the IP of this host. 192.168.87.160. So let's set our options. Set our target host 192.168.87.160. Port will stay at 80. The app path, we'll go ahead and grab that real quick. Get out of my GitHub repository. And let's use, we should be able to use this one. This should work fine. So we have a simple order data app. Again, using more Blazing Saddles humor because I love Blazing Saddles, and when I hear Mongo, I think of Blazing Saddles. And you see, you type in order ID, orders found. So simple enough. So So let's grab that app path. The app path. And again, we in NoSQLMap only get is implemented right now. The work is done to implement post in 0.2. But for right now, we'll just stick, this is not implemented, and we'll stick with get. And let's go back to the main menu. Okay, and let's go to web app attacks now. So we see the app's up. Now you'll notice one thing we have started gauging is the response time of the application. You'll see this a little bit later, but one of the things that we've added to NoSQLMap is a feature where we can use blind injection using response times to figure out if, say, an application doesn't give you feedback that necessarily shows you if your JavaScript injection works. We can inject some timing-based things to validate whether the JavaScript is being executed or not. So, baseline test, enter random string size, 5. Okay, and here's another new feature. I was just injecting random letters and numbers before into parameters. Well, now I've actually set it so in case there's any input validation on the database side or inside the JavaScript on the server, whatever it may be, you can specify the format of the random injection to make sure that if there is any of that input validation, then you can bypass it, based on what you've observed. So let's just to be fun, let's inject a random email address. So you see what we've done is we actually injected a random user, a random domain.com for injection testing. Doesn't really matter in our case because we don't do input validation, but it shows you. Okay, and let's inject into the order search field. As you see, I'll clean this up so you don't have to type out the entire parameter name. And we run sort of the same tests as before. But one thing I will show you, I've added some new tests where, let me find one of the new ones. So one of the things I mentioned in previous videos, it was that in Mongo 2.4, the JavaScript interpreter was changed from SpiderMonkey to V8. When they made that change, they took out the ability to access the DB class from the clients and inside the context of a where query. So this limited our ability to inject and find all the records. Okay, what you can do instead is you can return this, which basically takes your existing instance or existing connection, dot something random, and in 0. I'm using just a single A in 0.15. In 0.2, this will actually be changed to just a random string, is not equal to your random thing. So why does this work? This works because in MongoDB, at least this is my theory, in MongoDB, everything always exists. If I ask for something that doesn't exist, it says, MongoDB doesn't tell me that doesn't exist. It tells me, yeah, that exists and it's equal to null. So if I say, give me something that doesn't exist that's not equal to some random string, then MongoDB says, well, okay, I found that, it's equal to null, and you said go ahead and return it because you said give me what's not equal to this. That's hard to follow. I hope it makes sense to all of you out there, but anyway, let's try to inject. So you see we actually did get a variance of 365 bytes, and we think the injection worked. So let's go ahead and test that. And that is a bug. There's an extra ampersand there. That is fixed in 0.2. And as you see, we got all the orders. Now, this is a web application with a 2.4 backend. So just for informational purposes, let me show you what will happen. You see we actually didn't get much variance in the response size. Let me show you what will happen on a 2.4 backend if we try to access the DB. Actually, I need the one for a string. If we try to access the DB class. We just get an error. DB is not defined. which makes sense, right? So now let's get into the timing-based test, and this will take a minute, so you may need to fast forward through some of the video here. But let's say we don't have something nice where we're getting a bunch of records back. We can tell the injection worked. Let's start a timing-based test, okay? So I'm going to say, yeah, let's start that. And this takes a little bit to run. And while we're waiting, let me just go ahead and say again, 0.2 is on the horizon. We're going to have a lot of great new features. There's going to be some attacks for Mongo's REST API. There's going to be a complete restructuring of the code. My partner on this project, Marazio Abbas, I hope I'm saying his name right, we've only spoken electronically, has really made the code look great. Basically, I send him my really bad code, and he turns it into something beautiful. He's an artist. He's made the project so much easier to work on, and I really enjoy working with him. We've worked very well together. So this is finished running. So you see, we actually inserted some time-based stuff, and I'll show you exactly what we inserted inside the source code. So let me actually pull the source code of NoSQLMap up. Yes, I use Nano, so you can make fun of me if you want. In here. Okay, so you see what we do? We actually grab the times, and actually that wasn't what I was looking for. Let me find there it is. Okay, so we build a URI where we inject, we get the date, and then we simply sit and we go into a while loop where we just keep checking the date over and over and over again and dividing it out to figure out when the date is going to be 10 seconds later than when we started. Now, for some reason, this is taking 30 seconds, but I don't know why, but the attack works. Hopefully, it's a bug we can work out in the future. But you get the point that if we inject a while loop where we keep checking the date over and over again, and we're waiting for a particular amount of time in the future, and we see a delay in the HTTP response time, then we know it worked. So, as you can see, we got a load time variance of 30 seconds when we injected the timing-based stuff. So, injection was possible. And then we try both with string escapes and integer escapes, just like we do with our other injections. Now you see we've got a little bit cleaner output now. Instead of having to go back and find your text at work, we actually list out the vulnerable URLs. We don't have a timing-based URL, and I should probably add that, where we get a variance. So we now also can save results to file. So if we want to save this information right here, we can output it to a file. Let's test results. And that's it. So these are some of the new features in NoSQLMap. I hope you guys enjoyed the demo. And if you have any questions, as always, hit me up on Twitter. It's at TCSTool, HAX0R. You can find the project at www.nosqlmap.net, or you can send an email to nosqlmap@gmail.com. We're usually around and happy to answer any questions, fix bugs, add features, anything you guys would like. So thanks for watching, and again, just don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.